Hello out there. Welcome to Your Next Mission video podcast. Founded in 1950 as a nonpartisan educational membership nonprofit, the Association of the United States Army, AUSA, is a bridge between the soldier and the American people. Today we're talking with the Vice President of Membership and Meetings at AUSA about how their voice for the Army supports our soldiers, honors those who serve, and works to help ensure the strong security of our nation. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Your Next Mission video podcast, where we tell the stories of those who have served in the past and those who are serving today. From transition to financial wellness, VA benefits to mental health, we cover issues facing veterans, active military, and their families. Now here's your host, the 12th Sergeant Major of the Army and co-founder of the American Freedom Foundation, Jack L. Tilley.
Thanks for joining us today, and thanks to all of our veterans, service members, and families for your service to our great country. Now, before we get started, I personally want to thank our presenting sponsors, Navy Federal Credit Union, whose members are the mission, and Purdue Global, where you can start your comeback with additional sponsorship from Blue Cross Blue Shield FEP Dental and Blue Cross Blue Shield FEP Vision and USAA. Together, they make your next mission happen. They love our veterans and families, and I always say this, if you watch this show anytime, we love them too. Today, we're going to be talking about the organization that is the voice of the Army, the Association of the United States Army, AUSA, and I'm happy to welcome Brigadier General Retired Jack Haley, Vice President of Membership and Meetings at AUSA. Sir, welcome to the show.
Sergeant Major, it is great to be here. An honor to be on Your Next Mission's award-winning, world-renowned podcast. Thanks for having me.
I am pumped up already since you said that. Yes, hey, sir, we always, when we bring the guests on, we always have a lot to talk about, but we always want to make sure that you tell us a little bit about yourself first, sir.
Sure, sir, man. Yeah, I'm originally from Rochester, New York, so upstate New York. Go Bills! Having a great year so far. I was commissioned through ROTC, St. Lawrence University, and was commissioned an ordnance officer. Served just over 30 years, 3 tours in Germany, 3 tours in Iraq, tour at the White House, and various other tours in the Pentagon. And then as a general officer, I was the 38th Chief of Ordnance down at Fort Gregg Adams. And then I ended my career as the commanding general of the 593rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command. So I retired in 2017 and fell right into a dream job. I was the CEO and president of Miltope Corporation, electronics company down in Alabama. I mean, it was like another command. I had a great board of directors. Yeah. They were very hands-off and just a phenomenal job. Only problem with it was my wife didn't really want to live in Alabama. So we tried it for about 4 years. Both my kids, I have 2 girls, they're in the Washington, D.C. area. And you know how it is. I mean, first 30 years, your family follows you around. So I've always told my wife, you got the next 30, where do you want to go? And she wanted to be near the kids. So we moved to Washington, D.C. And I started working at AUSA 3 years ago, as you mentioned, as the Vice President for Membership and Meetings. So
there you go. Well, hey, so don't take this the wrong way, but usually anybody with less than I had in the service, I call them a quitter. So I had 36 years, you had 30, so you got up, but I'm not going to say
that. Sure. Well, you know how it is, Sergeant Major. It's at everybody's point in their career, the Army asks them to leave, right? Yeah, whether you're the SMA or the Chief of Staff of the Army, the Army says, okay, time to move out.
I still got that foot mark on the back of my backside here where they kicked me out there. Hey, sir, let's give our audience a brief overview of the Association of the United States Army. Talk about your membership.
Yeah, so let me start. You mentioned it in your start that since 1950. So we're coming up on our 75th anniversary as the Army's professional association. Again, our very first president and CEO was actually the vice chief of staff of the Army at the time. And the Army kind of quickly figured, hey, probably not a good idea to have an active duty, guy running a nonprofit. So it quickly went to a retired and our current CEO and president, who sends his regards, General Bob Brown. Been on your show, I'm sure. But since 1950, really, we have been the voice for the Army and support for soldiers. The mission, educate, inform, and connect is really very simple. 3 words: educate those that we serve, the total Army, and that's a key point. The total Army, reserves, guard, active, Army civilians, Army families, veterans, retirees, the whole gamut. The inform piece, we inform our members, Congress, the American public about what your Army is doing, how what's going on in the country that affects the Army, and then we connect. We connect America's, again, total Army with its communities, with Congress, and with industry. So that's kind of the history and the mission of the organization. And then we're structured. We have a national headquarters, about 80 troopers. They're actually, most of them have never served, which really surprised me when I got here. On the national staff, there's probably only about 10% that served in the armed forces or the Army, but they're serving now. Those kids that are on the national staff are serving now, and they really feel like they are. So you got the national headquarters. We have 9 regions across the globe. We have a European region, we have a Pacific region, and in those 9 regions, we have 122 chapters. And they're the lifeblood of the organization. They give AUSA really the breadth and depth and the reach that we can reach across and help our Army and help soldiers. So membership, we are a membership-based organization, and it's absolutely critical. We're over 1.7 million members in AUSA.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's been dramatic growth really over the last 3 years. But we're constantly looking for new members, and anyone can be a member of AUSA. It's not, you don't have to be an Army, you don't have to have served in the Army, you don't have to have family in the Army. It's really anyone who's interested in a strong national defense and a strong Army, and you can join AUSA. You can join as an individual. There's really 2 ways. You can join as a basic member, which is a no cost membership. And really we just started that 2 years ago. And the intent is, I mean, certainly young soldiers don't know AUSA. I mean, they just don't know their professional association, and that's our job to get it out. So we created this no cost, and it's really directed at younger soldiers to, so they don't have to put any money down to join for a 2-year membership, and then they can start getting all of the AUSA educational and professional development products. They get access to the benefits and the cost savings with our affinity programs, and then they start to get to know the program. And then our hope is that they'll join as a premium member, which is the other way. And the premium member is our dues paying members. That's $40 for a 2-year membership, $75 for a 5-year membership, or you can join for a lifetime. So we stop sending you those annoying re-up emails. You can join as a lifetime member for $400. And if you stay tuned to our website and some other things, we offer discounts throughout the year on membership. So that's kind of an overview of the member. And then we have companies. So we have individual, and then companies can join AUSA. So you have companies that can join as community partners. So those are those kind of small mom and pop shops, your barber shops, your pizza shops, your local realtor, chamber of commerce. And then we have national partners, and those tend to be the larger, mostly defense based companies, but not all. So that's kind of an overview of AUSA and how we're structured in our membership.
If I wasn't already a member, I would join today because you got me pumped up. Just to let you know, I'm a lifetime member. I'm a lifetime member. Hey, sir, I know AUSA is a voice of the United States Army, and it's been a voice for a long time. Would you tell me the 2 or 3 programs you're currently working that benefit soldiers and families? What's the 2 or 3 things that you guys are really focused on right now?
Yeah, thanks, Sergeant Major. And I'll start with our NCO and soldier programs, right? So, someone that you know fairly well, SMA retired Dan Daly, probably a few SMAs after you.
Not many,
Uh,
not many.
Not that many. He runs our NCO and soldier programs, and Dan has started a couple programs that I really want to talk about because they really do affect soldiers. One is the Junior Soldier Skills Enhancement Program. So you have a lot of soldiers out there that have joined the Army, came right out of living with mom and dad, may not have had a car before. They're out on their own for the first time. Have no clue how to look at their car, change the oil, check the tire pressure, and they just never had any experience with that. So Dan started a program where AUSA will basically rent the auto craft shops on each installation and invite soldiers to come. And SMA Daily shows them who's actually got a college degree in automotive technical whatever. SMA Daily will show them how to change the oil in the car. And does a couple things. One, it's the tangible benefit of how to do that, but it also shows them, hey, we have this auto craft shop, on post, that's supported by MWR, and if we don't support them, they go away. So it has a couple of functions. The second one, and we just launched it earlier this week or last week, is called the Enhance Your Life program. So what we've done is it's basically a credentialing program. We've partnered with universities, and universities are offering significantly discounted tuition rates for soldiers to get credentialed. I mean, so these are partners like Norwich University, Columbia Southern University, Arizona State, First Command Educational Foundation. And so soldiers can, at a very discounted rate, get credentialed in program management, organizational leadership, computer forensics, cyber crime, cyber law, public. So we just started it, and we're really looking forward to other universities. Universities are coming to us and saying, "Hey, how can we get enrolled in part of this program and give back to soldiers?" Because we have a credentialing program, or the Army, I say we, the Army has a credentialing program. And as a chief of ordnance, when I was a chief of ordnance, I mean, my welders, when they went through AIT, they got a welding certification out of that, a civilian welding certification out of that. And there's others, but that program is at risk, honestly. I mean, it's underfunded, and it's always one of those things that's, that is subject to cuts. So this kind of helps that, for an avenue for soldiers to get credentialed at a very, very discounted rate. And then I would just say, we offer from national over $325,000 worth of scholarships for soldiers, their family members, their kids. That honestly we would like to get more applicants for. It's happening scholarships really across the country. I mean, we need more applicants. We want to give money. And then our chapters actually do scholarships as well. So our chapters will do, so all told, I mean, AUSA gives about over $1 million in scholarships to kids every year. And they have to, they're kids of members. You have to be a member. And then what, just another thing for soldiers, we actually have our own podcast, right? So Dan Daly and Lieutenant General retired Les Smith are the co-hosts of our Army Matters podcast. And I don't know if you've seen it at SMA, but it's pretty good, and they get in some pretty good guests as well. Not that they're, we don't want to compete with you, but but it's a pretty good. So just
They
a
won't
couple.
even let me. They won't even let me be on their podcast. I called them a couple of times. I say, let me be on your podcast. No, 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 you're not good enough. But just
Right.
if you can tell Sergeant Major Daly for me, I didn't know if you know this or not, but every time I see him, he's supposed to carry my bags. That's how the junior guys work. So you need to make sure you tell him that.
All right. Yeah, I'll definitely pass that on.
I know legislative efforts are a key component to AUSA. I know that you guys are always working the Hill. And I know you pointed out already, 1 point, that's my hat's off to you. I take my hat off, but you'll see my bald head. But 1.6 million members, that's unbelievable. To be an effective advocate and total army on Capitol Hill, would you talk a little bit about that, the legislative stuff that you're doing on Capitol Hill?
Yeah, sure. And it's 1.7,
Oh, well, I'm
1.7
sorry,
million.
1.7, I got
Yeah,
carried away.
yeah. Don't shortchange me, as the so we have a government affairs section. So AUSA has it's a small section, two really superstars that are registered lobbyists that lobby for our Army on the Hill. And when General Brown came in and took over, obviously different commanders, different CEOs, different philosophy. General Brown came in with the philosophy that, hey, you know what, size does matter. We've grown in the last 3 years from about 250,000 members to 1.7. And you met, a lot of people like, how are you doing that? What's that dramatic growth? So we changed our focus a little bit on terms of that growth is how do we grow individual members if we're growing them one by one, beating our heads against the wall. That's a tough job. So we started partnering with organizations and basically offering their members a membership to AUSA, and we get, their members become our members. So by partnering with those organizations, we're able to grow dramatically. So, when General Brown is over on the Hill and he's talking, or the government affairs are on the Hill, and they're talking to members, congressmen, senators, and we tell them, hey, we're at 1.5, 1.6, 1.7 million. They stop and they listen and they're like, oh, really? 1.7 million. So you get a lot more attention there. The other thing our government affairs guys do is they develop focus areas. So with our 9 region presidents who are part of the board of directors, we develop focus areas that, and we do that in concert with the Army, right? We want to be amplifying the Army's message, and we don't want to be, really going against kind of what the Army would like to do with Congress. So, things like on-time appropriations and authorizations, right? That's like our first focus area, probably will be our first focus area until, Congress starts passing a budget on time. And then there are other focus areas, are really aligned with the Chief of Staff of the Army's priorities. So war fighting, delivering ready combat formations, strengthening the profession, and continuous transformation. So that's kind of, so we use those focus areas. So all 122 chapters are speaking with the same voice. We're speaking with one voice when they talk to their local congressman, because, all politics is local, that they're speaking, with the same voice that we are here up on Capitol Hill. So, the sustainable strategic path, the CRs are killing us. Those are the types of things that our government affairs says. And we'll do that through letters to Congress. And as a matter, we were successful in actually getting this current CR that just passed last night through. And that's not just coming from us saying that. That's from staffers letting us know, say, hey, thanks. That letter from General Brown that you sent over really did help. So, they're always looking at areas where they can advance AUSA's and the Army's interests on Capitol Hill, and they're really successful.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I'll just say real quickly is that, I've worked with AUSA for a lot of years myself, and especially when I was Sergeant Major of the Army. AUSA can say things the Army can't say, and they can do things the Army can't. And let's be honest about it. And because they're a great voice for our Army, and I don't think a lot of people realize the impact they have. And you're exactly right. When you have 1.7, I'm going to make sure I don't mess that up, 1.7 million people, that's a voice, and people do listen. So I want to talk about AUSA providing candid and unfiltered feedback to the total Army leadership. But there's always a but in everything that I do. But first, we need to take a quick break, so don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. This is Your Next Mission video podcast with me, your host, Jack L. Tilley, 12th Sergeant Major of the Army. If you're enjoying this discussion, if you're not, something's wrong with you anyway. Please like us. Click on that subscribe button below. And don't forget to click on the bell to receive notifications of all of our upcoming video podcast releases. I'll be right back after word from our presenting sponsors.
You're watching Your Next Mission video podcast, proudly presented by Navy Federal Credit Union, the most trusted credit union owned by members of the military community, serving all branches of the armed forces and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. And Purdue Global. You're ready for a comeback, and with Purdue Global, you can do more than take classes. You can take charge of your story, of your career, of your life. Earn a degree you can be proud of and get an education employers respect. Start your comeback at PurdueGlobal.edu. Now back to your host, the 12th Sergeant Major of the Army, Jack L. Tilley.
Welcome back. We're talking with Brigadier General retired Jack Haley, Vice President of Membership and Meetings at AUSA, the Association of the United States Army. Before we get back to our discussion, I'd like to take a few seconds to tell you about a new program we are excited about called Your Next Mission VCS, a Veterans Community Support Program. We'll provide personalized one-on-one support to address the unique needs within our veteran community, facilitated through our many partnerships with other veteran service organizations. Please check it out at yournextmission.org/VCS and enroll to participate today. Remember, I should say that 10 times, remember, we want to help you with whatever issues you and your family are facing. So please reach out to us. Sir, I'm fired up here. But I do remember when I was a Sergeant Major of the Army, AUSA provided candid, unfiltered feedback to the Secretary of the Army, the Chief of Staff of the Army, and the Sergeant Major of the Army. Would you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there are certain things that AUSA being outside the Army, as a professional development nonprofit that allows us to provide that candid feedback. And there's no secret or no secret sauce that the CEOs of AUSA have always been very senior retired Army leaders. I mean, Gordon Sullivan, God rest his soul. AUSA president for almost 20 years. Carter Ham, General Carter Ham, again, so there, because that allows access to the chief, right, to the secretary, to the SMA, to the senior leaders of the Army to give that unfiltered feedback. When General Brown got here, his passion is leader development. And so we stood up the Center for Leadership here at AUSA. Guy named General Retired Dave Perkins is our honorary chair, and it's run by a retired Colonel, Scott Halstead. And the mission of the Center for Leadership is really to educate and inspire young Army leaders on the profession and on leadership. And so the Center for Leadership, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, but how the Center for Leadership, it helps us give that candid feedback to Army senior leaders is through something that we do each year for the chief, at least for the last 3, called the Leader Solarium that we conduct at the annual meeting each year. And so the Solarium is a group of junior soldiers, mid-grade, officers, NCOs, GS civilians, and we bring them to the annual meeting. The chief, the secretary, and the SMA give them a wicked problem. So the first one we did was with former Chief General McConville, and the wicked problem was we were recruiting, right? Had all sorts of recruiting challenges. So we bring together a forum with these young officers for the senior leaders of the Army to provide that candid feedback from the ground level, and it's really effective. I mean, your days, as Sergeant Major and come up to the Army. I mean, when you want to know what's going on, you don't ask the officers, you go down and you talk to
Ah,
soldiers.
that's right.
So I think, that this is a way that AUSA does provide that candid feedback.
Yeah. Hey, sir, would you tell me some of the success stories about the leadership solarium that you was talking about together? I probably didn't pronounce that correctly, but yeah.
Solarium, yeah, solarium, yeah.
Solarium. Okay.
I think it was start. I think Eisenhower may have been the first guy that actually did a solarium and used that term. But anyway, yeah. So for instance, one of the so this group of mid-grade officers, NCOs, warrants, they're given this wicked problem of recruiting, and one of the things that they came up with was, hey, if you look at who our recruits are, a great percentage of them either participated in junior ROTC or went to a school that had junior ROTC. Um, but to be a JROTC instructor, by regulation, by law, you had to actually be retired. I mean, it's, you want, someone that's, got experience and that type of thing and working with young kids. Well, at the Solarium, the group came up with an idea. Why do you have to be retired? If I serve, 8 years and I get out, but I want to give back, to the Army and develop young leaders, I should be able to apply to be a JROTC instructor. So that suggestion went forward at the outbrief at the Solarium, to the chief, the secretary, and the SMA, and they took that back. They threw it in that big bureaucratic mixing bowl, of the Pentagon and the Department of the
Yeah.
Army staff,
Yeah.
and it came out in law last year in the NDAA that changed that, and now you do not have to be retired to be a JROTC instructor, and it just opens opens the bandwidth, opens the pool of qualified, instructors and honestly, kids these days, they may relate better to someone a little bit younger than that retiree, right? That's teaching the JROTC. So that's one of the success stories of Solarium. This year, the Solarium is General George, the chief, asked us to bring in battalion command teams. So we're bringing in about 50 battalion command teams. The battalion commander and CSM from the total Army, Guard, Reserve, and Active. Actually have a few international command teams. And I don't know what the wicked problem that the chief's going to give them is yet. But it's going to, General George wanted to, he's like, that's great. I love the concept. Let's elevate it a bit, to kind of the battalion level and see what these guys and gals are thinking. So we're really excited about Solarium. It's one of our signature events at the annual meeting. We're really happy that we can do it for the chief and the secretary and the SMA.
What are some of the critical issues that come out of it? You talked about one a minute ago, but is there some critical issues that come out of your discussion with the chief or with the young leadership there that you're dealing with, young officers there? I don't. Do you have non-commissioned officers in there too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
The first, so this will be our third Solarium that we've done. The first two were focused on mid grade, so it was captains, it was sergeant first class, GS 11, 12, CW2s. And as I said, this year will be battalion commands. I mean, so I think like I mentioned, recruiting, obviously, critical issue. I think I'm not quite sure what'll come out, in this Solarium, and what the chief's going to ask him to look at, but it's everything from just general readiness. The old critical problem that we have of just putting too much on our junior leaders' plates and expecting them to execute. So all of those kind of 350-1 requirements and taking a look at those. So yeah, it's really kind of it's a venue for the chief to get after some wicked problems.
Well, one of the things, and you brought it up, the 350-1. I remember, and this is a lot of years ago, that they just kept adding stuff. And one day I said, hey, look, there's only so many hours in a day. here if you keep putting all this mandatory stuff on me. So what's really critical? So yeah, I'm glad that you're looking at stuff like that, because you need to go back and sort of fine tune it a little bit, because our mission changes all the time. Everything's changing and moving all the time. But, hey, you have a big event coming up.
What?
And next week at AUSA annual meeting, I'm going to be there. So I want to dive into that and all the things that you need to know about the meeting. But first, there's always a first with me, everything I do. We got take another quick break. I'll be right back. Now here's a word from two more of the organizations that helped to make this show possible.
You're watching Your Next Mission video podcast, brought to you in part by Blue Cross Blue Shield FEP Dental, Blue Cross Blue Shield FEP Vision.
Part of transitioning out is that dental and vision insurance breaks off from your medical insurance.
Vision and dental is very important to be able to enjoy your retirement.
Blue Cross Blue Shield makes the transition so much easier.
And USAA.
A promise is a trust not to be broken, whether spoken with an oath or sealed with a pinky. And after 100 years, we're still taking care of the military community and their families. That's our mission, always.
Now back to your host, the 12th Sergeant Major of the Army, Jack L. Tilley.
Welcome back. We're blessed to be here today with Brigadier General Retired Jack Haley, Vice President of Membership and Meetings at AUSA, the Association of the United States Army. Remember, I always like to say that, remember, this is your show. We know there's so many issues that directly affect you, and we want to address each and every one of them. So please, as I said before, reach out to me. Tell me what topics you'd like us to cover. You can call or text me at 844-424-113, or send me an email at smatilley@yournextmission.org, and I'll actually reach back out to you. Sir, coming up, I just said it a few minutes ago, coming up next week, October 14th through the 16th, AUSA will be holding this annual meeting. I've been going to those meetings for probably over 30 plus years, and it's definitely the place to be. Would you give us some of the background of the meeting that's coming up for the big AUSA convention?
Yes, yes, indeed, Sergeant Major. It is our granddaddy event, our annual meeting. It's actually, this year will be the 70th. 70th annual meeting. So, I think you've been to most of them.
Yeah. I got to tell you, the first time I went was as a sergeant first class years ago. And then, of course, I didn't go until I probably got to be a battalion sergeant major. So I probably have went to at least 30 of them. And I think I missed one in the last 30 years, maybe a little bit, maybe 35 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's set. It's here in Washington D.C. at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center, where it is the largest defense trade show in North America. But honestly, what we're really proud about is, yes, it's a trade show, with a lot of companies and organizations exhibiting, but it's really unique from some other defense shows in our emphasis on professional development. And all of the educational opportunities that we have at the annual meeting in terms of contemporary military forums and panels, the keynotes, all of the different educational events that we have going on over those 3 days, I think really makes it, a unique trade show, if you will. And it's like a homecoming, Sergeant Major. I mean, you see people there, that you've known for 30, 40 years in the Army, you haven't seen in a while. So it's always just great it brings the Army together. And the Army, and the Army senior leaders use this. It really is their number one public affairs event, to get out the Army's message. So it's a tremendous opportunity. And it's open and free. So I say it's open. I mean, it's an AUSA private event, but anyone can attend.
Well, you got to talk to Sergeant Major Daly, because every year he tells me to send him $500 so I can go. So there must be something wrong.
Right.
But you're really right when you talk about the fact it's it's a homecoming. It's talking about friends you haven't seen in 30 or 40 years, and I love going every year just to say hi to somebody and sort of get updated with a lot of stuff. I know you're expecting a record-breaking crowd. Every year it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. What can attendees expect this year?
Yeah, you're right, Sergeant Major. So I think we'll be up around 40,000 attendees
Oh my
this
goodness,
year.
yeah.
So yeah, I think it will be a record attendance from what we're seeing. But what you can expect when you're there at annual meeting is, really we kick it off with a tremendous opening ceremony. That the military district of Washington soldiers, they put on a soldier show that kind of corresponds with the theme of the meeting, which is continuous transformation this year. So you kick it off with this opening ceremony and this great MDW show. You got the Army band there, and that's the Secretary of the Army's opportunity. Really, she has the keynote. She's got the platform, and Secretary Warmoth will, she puts out her priorities, her vision, and who knows? This could be her last one. Who knows? If we got a big election coming up, we'll see. What happens. So kicks off with the opening ceremony. Other big events that year, the Eisenhower lunch, and that's the Chief of Staff of the Army's platform. So the chief there, he'll recognize at that point, we'll have awarded the best squad, the best soldier, and the best NCO. He'll recognize them, and that gives the chief his opportunity, to lay out his kind of vision and priorities. I mentioned the educational opportunities. We got this year we have 6 contemporary military forums, and these are panels of defense experts from across the Army, industry, and academia discussing important topics. And this year we've seen a real interest from the Army senior leaders in adding some panels. So the under has got a panel that he's on, integrated air and missile defense, that he wants to run. So we added that. The vice wanted his own panel. So we added a panel for the Vice Chief of Staff of the Army on health and holistic fitness. So the Army senior leaders are engaged. You've seen you've been there many times for me. The Army exhibit is always a great place to be. That, it's a big Army exhibit on the floor. It'll have this year they have 12 kiosks from all the different commands, around the Army. And then Warriors Corner. So part of the Army exhibit is what we call Warriors Corner, and it's basically a small little amphitheater where Army leaders can come in and talk about different topics. And I tell you, it's on the floor. It's a pretty small area, maybe seating for like 50, but that place is packed, and everyone that walks by it stops because of the interesting topics that they're talking about. The other things I think that are really important and informative is the Army senior leaders, we're calling warfighter and family forums. So these are organized and run by Holly Daly, who runs our Family Readiness Division here at AUSA, and it's a chance for Army senior leaders to talk about family readiness and family issues. And always one of those family programs is the Army senior leader. It used to be called a town hall. This year it's a fireside chat. So that's the SMA, the secretary, and the chief, doing a fireside chat talking about family issues. So, and then, Sergeant Major, there's numerous receptions. You can't, every night there's a reception, with the big one Monday night, President's reception, but we have industry receptions, international receptions. All of our chapters have receptions. And then the whole 3 days culminates with the Marshall Dinner. And where we present, AUSA presents the Marshall Award. So our highest award, it's been presented to presidents, secretaries of defense, Sergeant Major of the Army have won. This year, we're really proud that we're presenting the Marshall Award, not to a person, but to a group of people, and it's going to be presented to the non-commissioned officers. So SMA Weimer will accept on behalf of, and we're thinking, he'll accept on the behalf with the Sergeant Major from the Guard, Sergeant Major from the Reserves, and they'll accept the award, and Sergeant Major Weimer will be the keynote speaker at the Marshall. So 3 packed days. I think you would agree, Sergeant Major. It's pretty. You're pretty spent by the end of those 3 days because there's so much to do, so much to see. So again, we're really excited. Registration is still open. come on by.
Well, I was just going to ask you about how can people who want to attend register? How can they just go online and register?
Yeah, just go to our, if you want, we really do want you to pre-register. It just makes it a lot easier and an easier flow. So you go to our website, ausa.org, O-R-G, and you'll go to the meetings section and it's very, very intuitive. Go to meetings, go to the annual meeting, go to registration, and you register right there.
Well, I understand. I think you did it last year too, but I understand they can attend online. There's an online viewing also. How do they do that?
So again, that's through our website. You can do it through the Army site too. Divids, streams it as well through the Office of Chief Public Affairs, and so you can get it through the Army site, but you can get it through the AUSA site as well. Again, you just go to our website, go to the meeting, and it'll show you the events. And not everything is streamed, but the big events are, right? So opening ceremony, Eisenhower, all the contemporary military forums, the Sergeant Major of the Army's forums, those are all streamed. But not everything is streamed.
Well, there's one event I want to talk about right now that should be streamed. I happen to be involved with, about the Your Next Mission hiring event. It's at booth 161 in Hall A. Could we get that to stream that for? No, never mind. Anyway, if you're available, come by our booth here because we're having a hiring event and put some of our good officers and non-commissioned officers to work.
Yeah, Sergeant Major, we appreciate what you and Ted and the organization does. We're definitely, I know we've been shrinking your space lately.
What? Don't talk about shrinking.
but it's an important mission, and we want to continue to support you.
Well, just to let you know, and I probably should throw this number out. Ted will probably shoot me when I say it, but I think once we figure it out, we probably have put 6,000 people to work through the hiring events and all the stuff we've been doing. But we could not have done that without the help of the Association of United States Army. So my hat's off to you. I won't take my hat off because I don't want to see my bald head, but I appreciate what you guys are doing to help our veterans and their family and our active duty service members. Sir, this has been a great discussion. I knew it was going to be. I'm still pumped up. Any final thoughts, anything you want to share with the audience that maybe we missed, something you want to bring up again?
I think, it's just, again, AUSA is, for the soldiers out there, I really would like to stress that AUSA is your professional association.
Absolutely.
And we want to, I want to get to the point when, when I come, and I see a young soldier and I say, have you heard of AUSA? And he's like, oh yeah, sure. I got my checking account with them. I don't want to hear that, right? Because I'm like, no, that's USAA. An important sponsor for both you and I. But that's not us. We're AUSA. We're your professional association. You are. When you join the military and you are a soldier, you are now a professional. And every professional has an association that has their back, and that's AUSA. We have the soldiers' back. And I just want them to know it. And we want to be able to provide them all of the benefits, all of the professional development opportunities that we can get to them and get those issues that they have in front of Congress and in front of the Army senior leaders. And like you said, Sergeant Major, there's a lot of things that we can talk about that the Army can't necessarily talk about. And we want to do that on behalf of soldiers and their families. So thanks for the opportunity, Sergeant Major.
Well, first of all, let me say, thank you for AUSA because they've been doing stuff with me and for me for a lot of years. And they are the voice of the United States Army. And they do make a difference to so many people. So please pass on to the senior leadership at AUSA. Thank you so much for what you do and what you continue to do for our Army. We certainly love the association. We want to do all we can to help them because you're doing all you can to help our veterans and families. God bless you for coming. And thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Sergeant Major. God bless.
God bless. Thanks again, Brigadier General retired Jack Haley, for being with us today. I'm Jack L. Tully, 12th Sergeant Major of the Army, and you've been enjoying, I should emphasize that word, Your Next Mission video podcast. Thank you for joining us. Log on to our website at yournextmission.org and leave me a review. I hope it's a good one, but we'll take whatever you want to give me. While you're there, you can visit our nonprofit and corporate partners who have jobs and services available that can assist you in your transition from the military. And check out our job board in partnership with Recruit Military, where you can search for a job that's just right for you. You can follow me on all my personal social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Rumble. And if you'd like what we're doing with Your Next Mission, please click on that subscribe button below. And don't forget to click on the bell to receive notifications of all of our upcoming video podcasts. Don't forget, we want to hear from you. Please leave me a message or send me a text at 844-424-1134, or send me an email at smatilly@yournextmission.org. Thanks again to General Haley for joining us today. And this is where I get to say my final thoughts. This is my final thoughts. AUSA is a voice of our Army. They do so much for us. Learn about AUSA, join AUSA, make a difference. It's all about numbers. 1.6, 1.7, it should be 5.8, it should 10 or 15 million people. We need members at the Association of the United States Army. Together, we can make a difference, and that's what they're doing each and every day. So go to AUSA, listen to AUSA, talk about AUSA, because they are our lifeline to Congress. God bless you, and thank you for what all of you are doing. Thanks for watching, and thanks to New Mind Studios, of course, our sponsors, Navy Federal Credit Union, Purdue Global, Blue Cross Blue Shield, FEP Dental, Blue Cross Blue Shield, FEP Vision, and USAA. We appreciate all you do for our military. And as always, see you on the high ground. Hooah!
You've been listening to Your Next Mission, brought to you by the American Freedom Foundation. Learn more by visiting yournextmission.org.